All right, everybody. So welcome. Thanks for joining the class a little bit early. We'll go ahead and begin the class in just a moment. While you're waiting, I'm going to share my screen really quick, and I'm going to write a link. I'm going to write a link. So let me go ahead and share the whiteboard, and I'm going to write a link. So what I want you guys to do is try to go here, see if you guys can go here. So kahoot.it. See if you guys can go to this website.
What's the pin?
Okay, if you guys can go here, just leave it here. Just stop, just remain on this page. And then the pin, I would tell you just a little bit. So this is gonna be kind of our warm up, not really-ish, because we're not gonna begin right at the beginning. Double check, see if you can visit here, and then send me a message in chat if you cannot visit this link. Send me a message in the chat if you cannot visit this link, because I'm not sure is this link going to visible in China. Don't worry about the pin number again. Don't worry about the pin number. We're not going to do this as the first thing. I just want to make sure that you guys can go to this website. Don't worry about the pin number. Don't worry about the pin number. Just see if you can go here. Don't worry about the pin number. Don't worry about pin number. I know. Yes. You just need to practice this new keyboard thing. I bought a new like a drawing pad just to practice with this because I need to annotate something that's cannot be typed. So just make sure that you can go to kahoot.it. Don't worry about the pin number. And then we'll go begin in just 1 second while we wait for more people to join. All right. So just raise your hand if you attempted last week's homework. Just raise your hand if you attempt. Raise your hand in the Zoom if you attempted last week's homework, please. All right, raise your hand if you attempted last week's homework. If you don't, just don't raise your hand. And I could practically see who did the homework, who did not. So don't have to. All right. So as always, from the first. Okay. So as always, the first one I'm going to do is always go over the homework first. So I'm going to share my screen. So this is my solution, but actually, let me go ahead and close it. This is my solution. Actually, let me just go create the file. All right. So I will have to go over my own solution just a little bit, but for now, does anybody want to share their own solution? If they solve assignment number 1, which is this week's homework. I mean, last week's homework, technically, or this week's homework, whatever you want to call it. Does anybody want to share their solution to the homework? All right. Does anybody want to share their homework one more time?
Yeah.
Oh, you have a hand raised. Okay. Well, you can just unmute and tell me because I don't know your hand raised for you. Did the homework, attempt the homework, or all right, sure, Kyle. I'm gonna give you a right to share your screen. So, could you get your code right? Okay. How about this? I can just grab the code for you. So, what's your username again?
I put it in the chat. I pasted in the chat.
Okay. All right, work. All right. Thanks, Kyle. Let me go ahead and copy, paste. All right. Looks like Zoom this time won't work for me. Okay. I got auto save it. I'm gonna save all. All right. So Kyle, do you want to explain your solution a little bit?
So for the list thingy, I added the two of them together, and then I have like a flag thingy. So if if the two of them, if two numbers are the same, then it's flagged. And it's not added to the new list. So the new list is like the result, right?
Yeah.
So if it's not flagged, then it'll get put in the new list called C, and then sort the new lists and then print the new list.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look. So first, Kyle, add two lists together. So add two lists together. Whoops. Okay. 1 second to fix something really quick with a little Zoom annotation thingy. Okay. So first, you add two lists together. You add two lists together, then you create a new list, and then you store the length of the two lists after they combine. Okay, so then you start to loop through this. Okay, can I ask you a question? What are you doing here?
I can't see anything. Wait, what do you mean? What are you doing here?
So do you know what happened when you do? So why do you doing? What are you doing here? What I underline? So could you tell me the purpose why you're doing this? Or could you explain what's happening here? So this is okay. So you can see
It's the first one to the last one.
on the first one to last one. So just like a regular old loop.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, but you know you skipped some number, right? Wait, let me think. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Flag is no. Still a little bit confused on how does flag mean.
So flag is if two of the numbers, if two or more of the numbers are the same, then it gets flagged.
Okay. All right. Okay. So so you only append the no. Okay. All right, that makes more sense. And then you sort it. Okay, great. That makes more sense. Though at the end, what I want you to do is go ahead and return. So instead of print, what I want you to do is actually return
Oh, okay.
your list to return C. And then not sure, maybe if you do this, your code didn't pass the test because again, we talked about the return value. If you don't have a return value, it's going to be none by default. So no test going to be passed, but you can return C. And then, okay, so it seems like it's going to work. It seems like going to work. All right, great job, Kyle. Thanks for sharing.
The test said nothing was right.
Yeah, because you didn't return it. You had to return it.
Oh, okay. I just
yeah. So whenever I give you a function like this, be sure to not change the function name, and then be sure to return stuff, okay, in order to let it work. All right, I see your hands were for a long time. Sorry for not calling you. Okay, let me just go to my participant menu really quick. Okay. Maggie?
Is my okay?
What do you mean by is yours okay?
Like my code.
Where's your code?
Let me share screen really quick.
All right, you can share your code as well.
Let me just. Host disable participant screen sharing.
Okay. Now you should be able to share your screen. Okay, so Kai, you can lower your hand. I'm gonna lower your hand for you.
So here I just made 2 random lists.
Oh, this is your code. Okay.
And I put 2 random lists. And then like this is list 1. So basically it just goes like this. If you run this, wait a second, it's loading. This is list 1, like you have some random digits. Wait a second. Return list 3, so it isn't working now. So like when I did print, it worked, but when I did return, it's not working.
Okay,
now.
return, you still need parentheses. Return don't need parentheses. Don't need parentheses when returning.
Oh, when returning, you don't need parentheses.
No, you don't need parentheses.
Okay, let me try that again. Yeah, whoa. So it still doesn't work.
Or a 7216. Their differences is basically all of them since no number is the same. Let's take a look then.
Whatever, I'll just do print. Print worked. Print worked. I've tested it with print. Print works. You see? 552, 845, and like this is the difference. Like
okay, maybe you need to since you don't have a print at the end, so what you need to do is you need to go add a so maybe in here. Okay, my drawing pad's not working. So before here, you maybe need to add print. So PRI.
Oh, okay.
So maybe here into add print. So basically, when we print a function, it's just gonna print out its return value. Okay. So it's basically just gonna print out whatever your list 3 is. Okay, so it looks like your code works, whether it does return or not. So can I ask you to explain your code briefly, see what you are doing here?
Wait a second. Why doesn't 0 show up in this is their difference?
Because 0 appeared twice in here.
Yeah, but they didn't appear in both lists.
No, the idea for it is I just want to the list that is not different. So, okay, so that's a great question. I kind of forgot my problem description. I think it's the difference between these 2 lists. So if it's appears in the same list, we want to get rid of it as well.
Oh, okay, good. So I don't have to rewrite it. Great.
Yeah.
So I'll explain my code. So first, I've imported rand int so I can make rand 2 random lists, and this is rand in 0 to 9, which means choose a random number from 0 to 9.
Okay.
And then it print this is list 1, and this is all pretty easy. So how do I define it? List 3 equals list 1 plus list 2, which basically means list 3, I combine the 2 lists. For I and list 3 count I. X equals list 3, so I wanted to count how many of each term there was in a list. If X was greater than or equal to 2, which means there are more greater than equal to 2 of the same term in list 3, for J in range X, so I wanted to remove every one of the terms. So for J in range X, list 3 remove I. Because when you remove I, it only removes one of them.
Yeah.
I have to remove all of them, so I have to do it multiple times in range X. depending on the number of times X there is. And then print, this is their difference. List3.sort. So here I just wanted to read it so it looks better. Like I didn't want like something like 8-4 here. And
Well,
then
technically you have to sort it to pass a test anyway.
Oh,
So you have to sort it. Yeah, but okay. Well, either way it works. It looks great. Thanks for sharing your code, and that's a great solution. So you can see all these exercises are like, you can see I give you like a quick introduction, like 30%, like, some basic for loop, how list works, but still 70% is up to you to find out, for example, to discover. All right, so Kyle shared his screen, Maggie shared his screen. How about this, Calvin? You have your hands raised as well. Do you have any question or do you want to share your code?
Can I share my code?
Yeah, sure.
So for this thing, I just changed a little bit, but this is basically my own code. So all I wanted to do is just I made a function. It was A, so it has the two lists.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I cannot hear you suddenly for some reason. Like your volume is really small. Could you maybe move toward the microphone a little bit?
Is this better?
Yeah, this is better.
Okay, so for start off for the function, I just this is my own code. I just changed it. Like I just like basically copied it in here. I just like pasted it in the assignment and I changed it a little bit.
Okay.
So all I had to do is just do A or B, and since here it was list 1, list 2, so it just changed here. I just made my own list, and then so all I want to do is just create a list 3 here, which is second line. So and then it says for C and A. So all I have to do is just find C and A, which goes for C in every number in A, and then all I have to find is if C and B. Just so it says that if C has one of the numbers are in here, then you just pass, because then I don't have to include it. But if it's not in here, then I just put it into list 3. And then for D, it's just basically the same thing, but you just go from list 2 and check into list 1. And all I have to do is just do list 3, and then you sort it, and then you just return list 3. So that's my code.
All right, great. That's a great code. And then I think after explaining, I think it's going to work. Because I didn't hear the code replica, I'm gonna expect it's gonna work. So I'm gonna make a few recommendations to your code. So you can actually like delete this if condition. Not delete it, but just rewrite this to if C not in B. Okay, this is my challenge time for using this drawing pad. If C not, still I think it's much better when I write mouse, but if C not in B, so basically what's gonna happen is just checking reversely. And notice that you have a pass here. So usually you use pass, that means it shouldn't be here because it's not necessary. So you can see if C not in B, then you can directly put this code. Under it. So you can just remove these 2 lines. Technically, you can remove this 3 line of code. And then same thing applied to 9, 10, 11. You can just use if C not in B. All right, so recall that C, just for those who maybe forgot a little bit, you can check if an element is in a list by using the element's value in the list variable. And then it's going to return true or false.
Another thing I wanted to mention, this is also applies the same for equal sign. If C equals B, pass, else something, you can just write as if C not equal to B. You write it as an exclamation mark and then equal sign.
Yeah, this is exclamation mark in conditional basically mean is opposite. But thank you, Calvin, for sharing your code. Great job. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, I think everybody get a chance. Does anybody else want to share the code before I share mine? Okay, I'm just gonna share my code then. So here is my code. And then basically, if you take a look, it's really short. And then since most of you use some loop, notice that I didn't use any loop at all. So first, what I did is this. I turned everything into a set. Not everything, I mean, kind of everything. So I kind of turn like everything to a set. So now I'm subtracting two sets. And then recall the interesting about set is automatically remove the duplicated value already. Okay, it removes the duplicated value already. So this is going to get the difference of the list 1 minus list 2. So it's going to subtract certain elements out, and they're going to turn back to a list. Second, doing reversely because I want to check both ways. So I need to do list 2 minus list 1, but also change them to a set. And then after the difference is going to be listified, so change to a list. And then you can see now I can add these two lists together. And then I can add these two lists together because now they should only have the unique value. And now I can just return sorted total diff. So sorted total diff going to do basically the same thing. And then I can just return this value here. All right. So this uses a concept called set. So this is really interesting. And then I think this is one of it's another interesting solution that you can brain up with. There's another student use another really interesting solution. He or she uses set as well, but uses symmetric differences, which I think that's pretty cool since I never used symmetric differences before. But that also brings his code work. All right. So how do you guys think about this assignment? Is it okay, or is this a little bit difficult than the first one? How do you think the difficulty of it? All right, let me check the chat really quick. Okay, excuse me. Okay, it's okay. All right, great. Glad to hear since it's okay. So I didn't give you guys a too hard problem. Well, today's your assignment, spoiler alert, you're going to implement a Heyman project. So with class object. So now we're going to talk about object-oriented Python. All right, but before that, I'm just going to go ahead and create a new file. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish with the two data types that we haven't had a time to touch on from last week. Is what we call tuple or tuple.py and dictionary.py. All right, so here is an interesting fact about tuple. You can get an element from its index number. So it's going to, so let's first take a look how can we define a new tuple. So just kind of call this tup for tuple. And then to define a tuple, we'll use a round parenthesis. This is how we can define a tuple. This is like the standard form of a tuple. And then instead of parentheses, you can add different values. For example, I can say 0, 1, 2. 0, 1, 2. We're a little bit more familiar to you guys is maybe the coordinate system, the coordinate plane. So this is the x value. Maybe we can do, this is the x value. And negative 100 is the y value. So x, y. This is maybe a little bit more familiar to you guys. It like there is literally a way to represent the coordinate pair. As we recall, this is what we call a coordinate pair. Coordinate pair. There's a way to actually represent coordinate pair in directly in Python, and using what we call a tuple. And then, for example, in here, what you can do is this. If you want to get a tuple first element, you can just say bracket 0, which if you take a look is the index number. So you could get a value for a tuple by getting its index number. All right, so by getting its index number. And then if you want to get the second, you can just say this. If you want to get a second value, well, then what you can do is in here, instead of tuple 0, you can say print out tuple 1. And then let's go ahead and run this program, Python tuple.py. You can see we got negative 100 here. But the difference between tuple and all other data type is this. Tuple, whatever you put inside a tuple is not modifiable. So that means once the tuple being completed, you cannot add the modify or delete elements from it. So for example, there's no way that you are able to add a new element. There's no way you can add an element. There's no way you can remove an element. So in other words, I just think tuple is unchangeable. Tuple is unchangeable, but it's still indexed, means you can get it by an index number. So it's unchangeable. So it's unchangeable, but indexed. But it's indexed. So anything that can get by an index number is indexed. All right, so for example, set is not indexed because you cannot get a value from set using index number. So this is about it for tuple. Not that hugely interesting. This is something that you come across if you want to use something related to coordinate pair. For example, x or y value. Another example is the longitude and latitude because it's our pair that can be represented as a coordinate pair. But this is tuple. So final thing I want to talk about is dictionary. So dictionary. So first of all, I want to ask you guys a question. What are two things that a dictionary must have in order to let it call as a dictionary? What are two things that a dictionary must have? What are two things in a dictionary that it must have in order to be called as a dictionary?
A key.
I mean, like a real dictionary. Like, okay, I don't have a dictionary here, but like a real dictionary, we can search your words up. What are like two most important things in like real life dictionary? You're right, the key is, but what's a key in real life dictionary?
Word.
You said the key, right? The key. Okay, so that's in Python, but what about in real life dictionary? So when you can actually search the words up, so what's a key represent?
The word.
Okay, so what does a key represent in a real world dictionary? So key represent the word, right? Okay, so a dictionary must have two things. One is a word, and one is a definition. Right? These are the two things that a dictionary must have in order to let it call as a dictionary. All right, let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys search dictionary by word, or do you guys search a dictionary by definition? So for example, if you have an unknown word, would you search for its definition or search by its word?
Search by its word, lol.
Yeah, literally, you will search by its word, right? And there,
because it's unknown, you don't even know its definition, and like literally, dictionaries are meant to be used to search for definitions, not words.
Okay, I want you to remember the sentence that you just said. Dictionary is meant to just search word, not dictionary, not definition. That's exactly correct, especially in Python, even in Python's dictionary as well. If I can see my mouse cursor. So that's especially correct. So I'm gonna draw an arrow here. you can only search. So this is one thing that you need to remember. In a Python's dictionary, you can only search a word. You can only search a definition by its word, but you cannot search a word by its definition. Okay, so it's one-way linked. It's one-way linked. There's only word to definition, but you cannot search a definition. But you cannot search a word by its definition. All right, so let's take a look. How can we define a dictionary?
Yeah, like you have like first you have large brackets, and then you put like color, and then maybe like color, right. And then colon, like red, green, blue, something like that.
Okay, that's actually the example I'm gonna make, because that's the only relative example I think gonna be relative. But first of all, I want you guys spam in the chat or just unmute your microphone 3 fruits. You can just have 1 fruit. So what's your favorite fruits?
Please, cherry.
Okay, there we go. All right, that's enough. All right, stop. Okay, apple, persimmon. Okay, why are there so many fruits that I haven't heard of? Okay, well, we got apple. Gonna do a colon really quick. Okay, well, for those of you who just type, it's too late. We got apple, as always. We have persimmon. I'm not sure. I don't even know what's that. I probably need to search the image. And we also get a mango. All right. So I just want a mutual, since I don't know persimmon, I probably need your guys' help. But first of all, what's the most common color for an apple? What's the most common color?
Red.
Red? Okay.
Or green. Yeah, I think red is more common.
Most common, right? Because like each fruit can have different color, but green, red is obviously the more common one. And so in here, 1 second.
Okay, so I looked it up. A persimmon is like a cherry tomato. It's orange.
All right, 1 sec. I'm just gonna reshare my screen really quick since
I thought cherry tomatoes were red.
Whatever.
Okay. All right, 1 sec.
They look like cherry tomatoes, but the color isn't the same.
Yeah.
1 sec. Let me go and refresh my screen really quick. Sorry about that. Sorry for the interruption, but I'm gonna wait for it to reload first because it's apparently that it cannot I can't load the page for some reason. Okay, but a dictionary, you can basically construct a dictionary like this. Since for some reason Gitpod's not working now, take a long time to load. So you can construct a dictionary by using curly braces. So I'm just gonna write the code out, I guess. So this is the curly braces. And then you will go ahead and put what we call a key. For example, in this case, you'll put apple. And then you will put a colon. So apple in this case is a key where it's the word. And then in here, which you're gonna type is the definition of the apple. The definition of the apple, which is in this case, the definition of the apple in this case is just the color of the apple. So it's just going to be red. Red, right? So for example, apple colon red. That means the color for the apple is red, where the definition of an apple is red. And then you can write a colon. You can add more these pairs like this. All right, now let me talk about how can you search a word in a dictionary per se in Python. So it's really simple. We'll still use the bracket notation. Let me just go put this. So to do that, it's really simple. You just need to add a bracket. So just in list, you can use a variable, whatever. If this is assigned to a variable, then you can use the variable name bracket. But you won't put the index number since there's no way to get it by index number. You'll put it by the key name, by the thing that you're searching. So you know we are searching the word, right? and then you want to get this definition. For example, in this case, if you want to know an apple's color or apple's definition, I can just put parenthesis apple inside of my square bracket. And what's going to do is Python automatically going to search through this dictionary and find out, okay, so the definition correspond to this apple key is red. So it's going to return red. All right, it's going to print out red. Let me see if we can type now on this getPy. I doubt it. I don't think we can still type yet. All right, there we go. So I can say apple is red. Persimmon is orange. I heard somebody said. I heard you said orange. Mango is yellow. These are all the most common color. And then in this case, if you want to get, again, if you want to get something, for example, you can, if you want to get what's the definition for apple, then you can just say fruits bracket apples. And then what's going to happen is this. And it's going to do Python 3 dictionary.py. And you can see we got the color red. We got the definition. Or we can also change it instead of apple, we can change it to persimmon. And then you can see we got orange. All right. But notice that we cannot do orange backward. If I know the definition, I want to search which word corresponds to this definition. As we just said, in the real word dictionary, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There's no way that you can search by something using its definition. So as you can see, it's going to give you a key error. It's going to give you a key error. So again, let's just review four common. Let's just do a quick recap about 4 most common data types about in Python. 4 common data types as we learned. So first, what we talk about. So first, we talk about list. One second. Okay, it's 1 second. I want to share a whiteboard really quick, and it's not allowing me to. Okay, so first of all, we talk about a common data type as list. All right, so list is indexed, which means you could get it. You could get a value in list by using index number. So it's indexed, and it allows duplicate entry. It allows duplicate entry, and then it's changeable. We can imagine it's also called mutatable, and then it's changeable. This is list. Then we got what we have. Talk about set. Set is not indexed, so no index. It doesn't allow duplicate number, so no duplicate, but it's still changeable. Okay, but it's still changeable. All right. After that, we get something called tuple. It's not really. It's also a commonly used data type. It's indexed. It's not changeable. Okay, it's allowed duplicated value, but it's not changeable. So I'm gonna write no changeable, change. And then finally, we have list, set, tuple. What we just talked about, dictionary. It's also shortened as dict for dictionary. And dictionary is not indexed. Indexed. It doesn't allow duplicate number. I mean, it won't throw an error, but it won't allow duplicated key, so no dup. But it's changeable. Dictionary is changeable. All right, sorry if you cannot read my handwriting, but I should make it probably a little bit more organized. But list is index, duplicate, allow duplicate elements, changeable. So list is like kind of whatever element, you can still whatever element in it. Set doesn't allow index number. No, you can only get, usually you will only get elements from a set by using a loop to get all the elements. It's not indexed. It doesn't allow duplicated value, but it is changeable. Set it is changeable. Tuple is indexed, allow duplicate value, while on the other hand doesn't. It's not changeable. And dictionary doesn't allow. It's not indexed. Doesn't allow duplicated entry, but it is changeable. Okay. So dictionary doesn't allow duplicate entry, means you cannot have two same key. And then changeable means you can change. For example, in our previous example, you could possibly change the definition of an apple. You can see from apple, you can say apple to yellow. You can change. So you can change the relationship between key and definition. All right. Okay. So. All right, Kyle sure to list a lot of fruits. Okay, so I guess so that's all this is like the basic Python, okay? So this is all like the basic Python, including the 2 assignments that you did. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a small quiz, if you will. And then what I want you guys to go to is go here. Go to this website called kahoot.it. If you haven't used it before, it's basically kind of like it's like an exercise, educational exercise, and then the pin code is 8311722.
Also, was Kahoot made by Italy?
Not sure.
It's .it, which IT is Italy.
All right. Well, I'm not sure. All right. Go ahead, choose your name, Drawing.
I'm almost away from me. Also, use split screen.
What?
Use split screen.
Okay, I don't understand why I said that, but okay. We'll do it, put username out, whatever you want. That sounds appropriate, okay?
Okay.
If you cannot see the pin code, again, pin code is 8. Eight 3 1 1 7 2 2. 8311722. It's 10 question Kahoot. All right, gonna go and begin in 20 seconds. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Again, you can join anytime at 8311722. Now, here is our first quiz question. What's Python?
What?
Nobody choose yellow. Yellow is not correct. No, don't choose yellow. Yellow is not correct.
So laggy. Can't read it.
All right. Yellow is not correct. Sorry about that, as I just said. Although Python is a snake. But yes, Python is a general purpose programming language mostly written in C, mostly. It's not a web-specific programming language. It's not an AI-specific programming language. It's general-specific language. So it doesn't have any domain. It's just a general-purpose programming language.
I just wanted to mention something like, so like actually, even it cannot be, if the P is capitalized, so it can't be Python if you think about it. It can't be a snake if you think about it. The C is capitalized.
Okay, all right, okay.
Well, mom, it could be something like mom is capital M, so like Python, like it could be like character's name.
Okay, well, I literally told you guys snake is not correct. So, I mean, whoever just chose that, well. Okay, so congratulations to in-house boy who is lead on our leaderboard right now. All right, let's proceed.
That was hard, so I guessed.
What is not a type in Python?
Oh, this should be easy.
What is not a type in Python?
Oh, wait, is list a type in Python? What is not a list type in Python?
All right, and that's our time. Number is not a type.
Why isn't list?
List is a data type. I literally just talked about that.
But
list.
isn't aren't type like float, int, boolean, and string?
These are not these are not, okay. It's data type. So you can consist list as a data type. It's like all kinds of different data types. These are all types. And I literally just said before the classes, we're gonna our data types. So, well, and there, even if you think list is not a type, the number is obviously not a type. Number is obviously not a type. Number is not even close. In this class, I never mentioned number. I either mention int or float. I rarely mention number because I don't want to confuse you with the type. Number is not a type in Python. Number is either int or float. Int, which is integer, float, which is a decimal number.
Yeah, but I didn't see number until I clicked list.
All right. Ooh, the leaderboard has a big change. Unnamed. Get the great point. Next time, please don't make her name just a space. Hard for me to read. Yes. Did anybody just say something? Okay. Well, we're gonna go next. True or false? This should be easy. Does Python have type? Python, okay, grammar mistake. Does Python have type? Yay, great job. This is the first time that I get this question. Everybody choose a correct response. Yes, Python have type, okay? Because literally that previous question already spoiled this question for you. All right. Let's see, no big change. All right, let's take a look. What is the correct keyword when defining a function in Python? Function, def, func.
Funky. The answer is blue.
The answer is def.
I said it at the last second, so I think nobody had enough time to respond to mine. So I think saying the answer wouldn't matter at the last second.
I mean, we don't even have loop as a choice, but okay. Def, df for define is specifically used for defining a function. As we define numerous functions already, but in this class, in this session, we're gonna take a look something even cooler than function, and even complicated.
When I meant blue, I meant like the color blue.
Oh, blue. Oh, okay. I mean, I saw you said loop, but okay. All right, it's gonna be weird. All right, Marcus, great job. You're the highest climber, up 4 places. All right, let's see. Number 5. What is the difference between list and tuple?
Oh, this is lagging so extreme.
What is this lag?
Finally.
That's why I'm working on the chart for you, for specific for this question. The most commonly missed question. Yes, yellow is correct. Yellow is correct. So ordered is also mean index. So basically list is changeable and ordered, while tuple is unchangeable. All right. This is the tricky question. This is really tricky. And then, I mean, it's gonna great job for 8 of you, still majority. Yeah, I mean, half and half still. 8 of you answered correctly. So great job to all of you. Let's take a look. Somebody's on fire. Let's see. Oh, 3 player have reached answer streak 4. Great job. Dream not found. Great. That's actually a great username. Dream not found.
It's meant to be George, not found.
Oh, okay. Look at the code. What will get printed? Take a guess. I don't think I covered this, so you guys can take a guess, see if you can figure it out. Barely anybody answered correctly. Okay, I will go over how does it work. Okay, I will go over how does it work. Nobody, why does somebody choose green? Green is literally an error that's made up. Various scope error. That's not even an accurate error. Okay, so I guess I will go ahead and show you guys about this question. So you can see why it's happened is that it's because of this. All right, 1 second. Let me turn the annotate back on. Okay, so the reason is this. First, we define the x value, right? And then we'll create a function a, where then we change the x value to number 1. But notice the scope, which we haven't talked about. The scope defined this x1 is inside of this a. This variable haven't get modified. And then we define b inside of function a, we change it to 2. Then we called b in a. Then finally we called a function, but turns out that it didn't change at all. It didn't change at all. It's still straight down to here because the scope doesn't really matter because it's not in the global scope. These are some confusing problems, so I recommend you guys. So most of the time, you will really just try to. You will usually just try to like manipulate it and then try to type it on your own. And I give you 20 seconds. So what?
Why didn't it change?
Because these are not defined as the same scope. Because this is the global scope. This is a global, which means everybody can use it, while these are the local. Only within the function itself can be used. That means the global scope didn't change. Okay, so I'm actually also a little bit confused on this one. So I actually typed this into a compiler, and that's what compiler told me. So, yeah. All right. So I'm going to clear everything. Hope you guys understand it a little bit better. And then we're going to continue. I bet a lot of people are going to miss on this question. Let's see. Only 3 people answered this correctly. Great job for these 3 people.
You probably guessed.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Maybe they guessed. But yeah, looks like blue too. Yeah, 2 is, I know why it's like most obvious one. Whoever choose green, well, that's not even an accurate error, okay? That's the error since it's just made up. All right, let's take a look at the leaderboard now. Ooh, we got a huge change. Not really. Untitled, get to the top space now. Justin trademarked is the 2nd place with stream not found on the 3rd place. Great job. All right, look at the code and what will get printed.
Dun, 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 dun,
You guys still remember about list? Yep, most people answer correctly. It's bracket 1, so 0, 1 is 2. Okay. Some people answer 6. Yellow. 1 is not correct. Is 0 again. Don't forget index number always count begin at 0. So this is 0. Then this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. Okay, so don't mess up with that. But most of you are doing great. Great job. Great job so far. What is F-string in Python? I think I talked about that, and I used it in some of my answer to assignments as well. So you pay attention in class. Yep. Most people say, yeah, let's take a look. F-string, yep, this is always the most common mistake. F-string is not just a way to embed mathematical expression. F-string is a way to embed Python expression. All right. Obviously, it's not a way to make your string look fancy. That's not what F stands for. Then that would be cool. Maybe it actually stands for fancy string. F string is not gonna make it look nice. It didn't have any change, but green is correct. F string is a way to add Python expression in a string. All right. Okay, let's see who's taking on the leaderboard now. Justin trademarked, followed up by Dream Not Found, and then was the Untitled. Another true or false function question. Would that following code get an error when run? I'll try best to see this question. Sorry about that. I'm not sure how to zoom in. There's no way to zoom in apparently.
You can force it to zoom by clicking on the 3 dots and then like 100%, like 150, 100, and like 200%. Like zoom in like that.
All right, you will see an error because bracket red again. I don't know why people still make this mistake.
Again, you don't search for the definition.
Yeah.
You don't search for the word. You search for the definition.
Yeah, you are using the word to search for definition. You cannot use a definition to search for a word. That's not how dictionary works in real life, nor does it work in Python. Still, that doesn't mean you cannot get a definition by its word, or you cannot get a word by its definition, but you cannot directly search them using bracket notation. So we'll get an error. All right, get ready for the final 2 bonus point essay. Essay go out podium, Justin trademarked, Untitled, and a backtick. All right, let's take a look. 2 double points. Get ready. How to remove last element from a tuple. How to remove a last element from a tuple. All right, still people are making mistakes. It's 8, there is no way. I literally told you that
It's unchangeable.
It is unchangeable. It is unchangeable. So there's no way to remove the last element from it. And then I specifically add some option. .pop is how you make a list. .remove is also how to remove elements from a list. But .clear is just going to delete everything from the list. So these are like list method, but there's no way which is correct. All right, let's take a look. Our final Grinnell, who is on the podium. Marcus, number 3. Dream Not Found is number 2. Let's see, number 1, which is, there we go. Justin trademark, congratulations. Congratulations to all of you and the runner-up. Yeah, so this is a quick Kahoot game I got you.
No, so my name is Alvin. That's my mom's name. And by the way, I'm Marcus. And Marcus is the founder of Minecraft. I just
and it's a very popular Minecraft YouTuber.
All right. Well, thanks for playing this game. And then, do you guys think this Kahoot is complicated or it's easy?
I think, how do you do the double points stuff?
It's automatically added.
Oh, And also, I want to mention something. The hardest question was the first one.
Okay. All right. Really? I can take a look. See, what are some questions I commonly missed? All right. Great. So I think the question should commonly miss is the list and tuple, the differences between them. That's like purposefully designed that question. All right. So okay. So that's about our tuple, and then we have 1 hour left to go ahead and proceed and talking about class. All right, so I'm just gonna create a new file called class.py. Class.py. All right, so has anybody heard or even used or created a class in Python before?
Aren't class stuff in HTML?
No, that's not an HTML class. It's not the same class. Has anybody used a class in Python before?
Oh, you mean the classes in dictionaries?
No, that's not what I mean. If you use it, you will know what I mean. Have anybody used a class before in Python? You can send a message to me in the chat or just raise your hand, so I can know.
Class.
I know it's lagging for me as well, but I'll go through this already. Okay, on round one, well, Lero said x equals 0 at the top. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, x equals 0, and that may be also a common question. All right. So since nobody used class before, so here is the easiest way to understand the class. So the thing that recall that we used some methods before. So for example, on our solution to nearly all of our assignments, you maybe used at least 1 or 2 method before. For example, this method, which is Alvin's solution, you can take a look that we use this method called .append. .append is a method that's specifically associated to list. It's add and 1 element at the end of the list. Whoops. And then we also have a sort. Sort basically is sorted from smallest to greatest order. So in ascending order. Yeah. So you can see these are different methods, right? And then you can imagine that list is ultimately an object. List is ultimately an object. And there is a way to construct different objects on your own in Python as well. For example, the most common one I'm going to create is what we call rectangle. I'm just going to create a class called rectangle. Actually, let me just call it polygon. So to create a new class, in here you can just type class polygon class. And notice that usually when we're defining a class, it's used what we call a snake case or a Pascal case. Basically what that means is it's usually like capitalized all the beginning, all the capital. It's capitalized every first letter in each word. All right. So you can see that's a capitalized P in polygon. All right. So now what I will do is this. I'm going to create a function. Actually, no, I'm not going to even create a function yet. Can anybody tell me some properties that a polygon has? So for example, the most common polygon. Anybody tell me some property polygon? Not exactly coordinates. That's not exactly what I'm looking for. But for example, this is a polygon. For now, I'm just specifically talking about rectangle and squares. That's not a square. Okay, sides. But sides is specifically for square. What about for rectangle? What do we have for rectangle? What are the property of rectangle? So how would you find the area of a rectangle? Width times length, right? or length times width, either way. It's gonna work. So here's what we can do. This is the length, and this is the width. Ultimately, a polygon can be defined by the property of these two, length and width. These are what we can define as a polygon, right? Okay, so now then what I can do is I can go ahead and actually create a function. Actually go ahead and create a function that uses this. So in here, what I will say is this. I will say length equals to 5. Width equals to, actually no, that's completely opposite. Length equals to 6, width equals to 5. So now construct a polygon which the side, the width, the length is 6 and the width is 5. Okay. All right. So I think that's really cool. And then now what we could do is this. We created a new polygon class. But now in order to use this, we need to create a new instance.
將呢個 bar chart 可以移上嚟啊，移唔到嘅點解？呢度下邊咧有個 chart 係呢。
We need to go and create an instance of this class. For example, we can do this. We need to create a new instance of the class. For example, I'm just going to create rect for rectangle. And in here, I'm going to say this. Rect equals to polygon. And then I'm going to add a parenthesis. I'm going to go ahead and return a polygon with parenthesis. Notice just like a function, but it's a class. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and print out what we got for rectangle. Again, rect is an instance where a new object is associated with this polygon. All right. So for example, the way to understand instance is this. So for example, this is an instance of a list. This is an instance of a list. You can see it's basically you are creating something that is same as list, but you are to create something that generally is a list. In general, it's a list, but specifically with some elements. That means by creating an instance. And now let me go ahead and run this Python file. And now notice we got a really weird string like this. Main.polygon object as 0x, 7f, 7dd, f20, 2bb0. First of all, just curious, does anybody know what this means? Does anybody want to guess what this means? But most likely if you don't know, you cannot guess it.
Maybe
Does anybody
like,
know what?
base 16 hexadecimal.
What?
Hexadecimal.
It is hexadecimal. All right, we're showing it called hex. But do you know what this hexadecimal represents? What this hexadecimal represents?
Some points or an arrow.
It represents what we call memory address. Memory address. You don't need to worry about that. You don't need to worry about a memory at all in Python, but you do need to worry about memory when you are using lower programming language like C, C++, C#, which you have to dealing with memory management on your own. But this is just really trivial, so just in case you guys wonder. All right, so you can see it's not really interesting, but here is how I can make it interesting. It turns out that I could get what is actually what is the property of a polygon. For example, I could get a variable. So in here, I could say this. I could actually can say dot length. And then if you go run this again, you can see we got 6. We got 6. So that's because we can, after we create a new instance, we have access to all these different variable and function, which we later will define. And then you can see this. You can see in order to get some property, we can use this dot method. And here I can say rect dot length, which then is gonna do something like this. Rect dot length. Okay. And then same for width as well. If you want to get the width, we can say rect dot width. Now I see 5. Okay. So this is the way that you can access the elements. And so now created one of our own class called polygon with 2 variables defined in it, length, width, and we created a new instance called rect, which basically means a rectangle. And it's basically the polygon class. And then we also learned that we can use dot notation to get different functions and different variables that we defined in this class. All right, does anybody have any question first? Does anybody have any question at all so far? Does anybody have any question? All right, if no, we'll go ahead and create something a little bit more interesting. So you can see there might be an issue with this code. Does anybody see something that we can improve? Does anybody see something that we can improve with this class? Anybody see anything that we can improve with this class? Okay, then I would suggest a point where what we can improve. We can improve that so that so we don't need to hard code this. So recall that similar in function. Recall this is what we call a hard coding value. So I hard coded the length variable and the width variable. What I may rather to do is to let the user be able to decide what's the length and what's the width. That's maybe what I ultimately want to do at the end. So I can do that really simple. Now what I need to do is create what we call an init function. Create an init function. And here I'm just going to say def init self. And then I'm going to do this. Length equals 6, width equals 5. I'm going to put them into this function. So notice that this init begin with 2 underscore at the beginning and at the end. Usually this means this is a built-in method in Python. Okay, so init is a built-in method in Python for class. And this init function going to run whenever you created a new instance of the class at first. So at the beginning, whenever you create a new instance of the class, this is going to run immediately. So now what I can do is this. Now notice that inside of here, I take in an argument. Excuse me. This argument is called self. Basically, what this argument does is self represents literally the instance itself, the object that you created. In this case, a reference to this rectangle object that we created that located somewhere in the memory. And then we don't need to worry about passing this as a parameter. It's automatically, you can consider quote unquote built-in parameter in Python. It's class. But in here, what I will type is this. Instead of just defining like that, I'm going to type self.length equals 6, self.width equals 5. So I basically add self dot in front of these variables. Because the reason we want to do that is recall that self is basically you can use self across your class. Can use self across your class? And in this case, you can see self.length equals 6, self.width equals 5. You can imagine self is a dictionary. You can imagine self is a dictionary where self can store a lot of different keys. And length, for example, is a 1 key, and its respective value is 6. And then we also create the width as a key and the value, which is 5. Okay. And then one final improvement we made is, and then it's not full, we still code the value. So what I would do is in here, I would take 2 additional arguments called length and width. These 2, just like function arguments, these 2 will provide based on the user. So we're gonna say self.length equals length, self.width equals width. All right. Okay. So now you can see here's our init function. Let's do a quick recap what we did, what we changed. So we changed from just using these 2, just define these 2 variables, length equals 6, width equals 5, to use an init function, which basically going to get run every at the beginning, and takes in itself, which reference to the object that you create itself, and then it's also taking 2 parameters called length and width. Length and width again is basically length and width is going to be provided for the user, and then we have self.length equals length, self.width equals width. All right. So now, and then you can see. So now we can actually use them. Now, if I run this again, you can see it's going to tell me I need 2 arguments now. So in here, I need to go out and provide the length and the width. All right, can anybody spam a number in the chat, please? Okay, enough, that's enough, that's enough. I think the chat can go overload. 234, 23, actually 234.7. 234.7. And this is gonna be the width and the length and the width for our polygon. Now you can see the code still works. You can get it by using rect.width to get the width of this class, to get the width of this polygon, and you can use rect.length to get the length of this polygon. All right. Does anybody have any question at all? Does anybody have any questions so far? Anybody has any question? All right, so if no, then here's what we're going to do. You can see now, okay, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. So what I want to do now is go ahead and, let's see. What we're going to do now is go ahead and maybe start to create some of our function in our world. So what do we usually do when we have a polygon? So for example, what do we usually do when we have a polygon? So what math question you're going to see most commonly when we use a polygon? Use a rectangle specifically. What math question you usually see? What kind of math? 2 most common math questions there are with a polygon. Yep, area is 1. Parameter. Yep, area and parameter. So since we know the width and length, we'll get the area and parameter pretty easily. So now what I will do is I will go ahead and define my own method that we could use. Do you hear? I will go ahead and define this. Def area, parenthesis, and takes in itself as a parameter. Def area. And then what this is going to do is this. It's just going to return what the area of this polygon. So can anybody just tell me the formula for calculating the area of a polygon again? So I'm going to do return. Can anybody tell me the formula for the area of the calculating a polygon, please? Rectangle, basically. Calculating an area for rectangle. What's the formula we're going to use?
Width times length.
What? What? Okay, just going to be length times width, right? So length times width is going to give you the formula. And then here, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to say return self dot length times self dot width. All right, self dot length is going to give you the length, self dot width is going to give you the width. Notice as we define right here. So now we can actually use a variable by using the dot notation as well. You can just remember this as dot key and dot another key, so dot length dot width. So self dot length times self dot width. All right, I'm going to return that. Let's see. I'm now going to implement what we call a parameter. Also going to take in self. And this is going to be even much, it's going to be this. So it's going to be 2 times of self.length plus self.width. Right? Yeah. So basically, you, as a rectangle, just add these two, like, just say self.length plus self.width plus self.length plus self.width, which you can write like this: 2 times the parenthesis, 2 times the sum of self.length plus self.width. These two. So now what we just created is the 2 function as we got. That's the 2 function as we got, and then let's take a look. What can we do with it? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. How can we actually use these functions? So now, instead of just get the boring useless length, which we all knew, we can actually calculate the area of this rectangle now. So here, similar how you get a variable, we use dot notation again, but this time we use self.area with a parenthesis. So now we're actually calling this function. Now if we run this again, you can see we got the area, which is apparently to 1,638. So that's the area of this polygon. I can also check what's the what's the like value for this perimeter. Well, then in here I can say rect.perimeter. And I can see it's 482. It's 482. All right. So this. So now we're talking about how can we create our own function in using our class, inside of our class. All right. Does anybody have any question? Does anybody have any question regarding to anything that we learn in class? Because don't forget that you will create your own class, and then you use class to create a Hangman game. This is your this week's assignment. All right. Well, if there's no question, now I'm gonna I'm going to briefly touch on one more thing, and then we're gonna proceed with our break. Is this? Now I'm gonna create a new function, and seems like that's what we're going to do now is we're gonna create, actually not a function. We're gonna create a new class called square. We're gonna create a new class called square. And it's going to be something like this. Class square. 1 second. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, 1 second. I had to fix something for my mom really quick. I'm so sorry. How about this? We're just gonna begin the break now, and then gonna talk about stuff later, okay? Just gonna begin the break now, and we're gonna get back at 8:05. So that's the end of the break, okay?
Yeah.
All right, sorry about that pause, but hopefully you guys all have a great break as well. So what are we going to do now is we're just going to briefly talk about class inheritance, and then we're going to move on to our today's homework or assignment called Heyman. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started, and then here is the class. So now you will see that I want to go ahead and create a new class. And I want to call it square, but the square going to be a little bit more special. I don't need to create everything on my own, right? Because there is a class that I just created, which contains everything That's a have, and I need to have for this square class. So in here, I'm just gonna put polygon. And that means it's going to extend from this polygon class. And here, I'm going to create my own init function. Because if you don't create your own init function in the subclass, then the init function is gonna assume be the parents class init function. So in here, I'm just, since this is square is all the sides are the same. So you can just let the user type one time, side. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say super and dot init. And then super dot init, basically what super means is it goes to the classes before it. So here's what super means. All right, so here's what super means. So super basically means this. So super basically means we need to go ahead and initialize this polygon class. Again, this polygon class is where it's our subclass. So square is a subclass of polygon. And by meaning of subclass, basically it means it's gonna have basically everything the same as this polygon, but it's going to have its own property as well, maybe. So then what I can do is this. I can do super init, and here I can say this. I need to go ahead and notice I will have this entire snippet tell me I need to put the length and the width. The length and the width are the same for square. I'm just gonna put side twice. Okay, and that's all I'm going to do. So before doing anything more, let me just go ahead and comment out these two classes, and then let me go create a new instance of the square class. And then square, okay. Can anyone just spam a number? Or spam the first number gonna be the side. Okay, that's good, that's good. All right, 1. 1 is our number. So let's go take a look what's gonna happen then. And then let's go ahead and say square dot length. And then let's go ahead and print that out actually, so we can actually see this. And now you can see the square dot length is 1. You can see that despite I didn't actually explicitly say self dot length equals length, it knows. It knows that what I wanted is here. It knows. Okay. So and so now what I can do, and then you can see that every property within it is also get inherited as well. For example, the area, the way to calculate area also get inherited. So the area for square of 1, which is 1, and the perimeter as well also get inherited. So the perimeter is 4. Perimeter is 4. All right. So does anybody have any question on inheritance? Inheritance is a little bit more complicated topic, and we're not going to use it in the homework. Does anybody have any question about anything we talked about? Okay, well, then here is where I'm going to do that. I'm going to paste a link in the chat in just a little bit. And this is basically the assignment that you will use for this week. This is your assignment. Your job is to create a Heyman project. I haven't updated the website yet. I will update it as soon as possible because I have like finals this week on my other commitments. But basically, we'll create a Heyman comment line interface. And then let's go take a look how the program behaves. How about that? So we know how the programs look like. Let's see. All right, let's take a look how would this program behave. And let me open up my GitHub interface. And by the way, the submission for this classroom, for this work, going to be directly submitted to me via email. So you're going to send an email to me, basically. And you're going to put my email address again in the chat. So now I'm going to use GitHub Classroom because apparently GitHub Classroom for these private repos actually cost some time. We are out of like testing times. So we're not going to use GitHub for this assignment. But we'll use GitHub. So we'll see if we're going to use GitHub for next assignment. All right. So let's take a look. All right, so let's take a look at this GitPod project. And then let me go and share my resume share. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to say Python 3 hello.py. I mean, no, Python 3 Heyman.py. And notice it says, it's going to have 5 letters because it has 5 underscore. And you can enter a letter. Enter a letter. All right, so I'm going to ask you guys to type a letter in the chat that you think going to be this word, one of the letter. All right, A it is. A it is. Let's take a look if A is in this word. If you haven't played Heyman before, it's basically gets a word in a certain number of chances. A is not correct. And you only have, actually, let me change this. You only have 2 chances left. A is not correct. All right, I'm not going to start counting the second letter just yet. No, don't write the second letter yet. Don't write the second letter yet. I'm going to wait for everybody to think a little bit and to guess which letter it is. It's really common. Okay, it is so common that basically every day we use it. All right, I'm not starting yet. Okay, 3, 2. Actually, wait. 3, 2. Actually, wait 1 second. Don't type yet. Look at your chat, please. Don't type yet. All right, now I can go ahead and type E. Let's see, would E be 1? E indeed is 1. And in fact, it's on the second position. It's on the second position. All right. So I'm going to give you guys think a little bit about what word it is. And then I'm going to go ahead and start third round. Not starting yet. See my chat message. I'm going to type a chat message. L. Let's take a look. Is L correct? Indeed, L is correct. All right.
Okay, hello world. This is too easy.
It's not, it's just hello, to be honest. But I'm going to purposefully miss this. And then you can see if I type P, and then I want you to pay close attention because of this, you're going to implement most of this on your own. All right. And then in here, I'm going to purposely miss like type a Y because you didn't get the word is hello. And then you cannot type duplicate a letter. So if you already use L, you cannot use it again. Or if I just want to complete this, because you get the word. You get the word. You only have 3 chances. All right. So that's great. So this is a program that you're going to implement. Does it seem interesting to you guys? Nobody said anything. Whether it's interesting or not, here you come. You're gonna have.
Yeah. So like, So like if I just do hello every time and then like it'll get boring. So like maybe can we like somehow like get a random word?
You could. There is actually a file called dictionary.txt. If you pay attention to the left, that is all the words it's gonna get. It's actually gonna get a random word. But we'll talk about that. So 1 second,
Okay.
I'm just gonna share a link. I'm just gonna edit this file this GitHub repo really quick. And then I'm gonna go ahead. So put it in the chat, maybe gonna put a chat message and then with the link. And then I'm going to go over what assignment, what property, and what variable that you're gonna go ahead and initialize. All right, let me go ahead and edit this in a little bit. Edit this a little bit. All right, let's wait a while. Wait a little bit. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and type a link into the GitHub repo. All right, my email is this. For the security reason, I'm not gonna type in a Zoom's chat, where I could. But again, I just want to practice using my little drawing pad. Is this.
Boyuan, you sent the link to me.
Oh, shoot, sorry. Could you send it to everybody? Sorry about that.
Sure, I'll send it to everybody.
Oh, no, you can't, sorry.
Oh yeah, I can't.
Setting. You can't, I'm just gonna send it to everybody. You're in the meeting, there we go. Be sure to finish this assignment, Calvin. I mean, if you want to, but recommend you do. U6 at yahoo.com. This is where you're gonna send your assignment. All right, everybody needs to work at GitHub for this project. Everybody has to, unless it still doesn't work for any people. Recommend it to use with GitHub. This is my email address, boyuanliu6 at yahoo.com. All right, so let's go take a look at this class. Let's take a look at this class. So I'm gonna give you guys okay. So I'm gonna try something like this. You guys can ask me questions, and I'm gonna tell you answer to the question that you ask. Okay. So for example, you can ask some hint, for example, but don't directly ask for how to do a certain function. So you guys can type your question in the chat. What question do you have, or what hint do you need? By just looking at this, see how to complete this Heyman game. So as you saw previously, that's the usage of Heyman game. You can type in the message if you have any question that you want to use a hint. Did you use a dictionary? There is a file called dictionary.txt, and if all of you click on the link, it's gonna. If all of you click on the GitHub link, it should create a new snapshot, which should be exactly the same thing as you see here. What's my email again? You know what? I'm just gonna type in the chat. Here's my email. All right. So actually, I'm just gonna go over how do you do this. Okay. So first, notice I have an init function. Actually, first of all, you can see we import this random module. As you can guess, we're gonna do some random thing with it. Because that's literally the purpose for random module, right? So you're gonna do some random thing with it. So this is the first line. Whoops, not what I mean to do. All right, so now second, you can see we've got a function. And does anybody want to guess what this function does? Does anybody want to guess what this function going to do? Does anybody want to guess what this function is going to do? What do you mean by 6, 7 read? Kyle.
Does it mean like to be basically split like it splits the like,
Okay, sorry about that, but I cannot hear you again. Could you maybe close to the microphone?
Is it that like I'm pretty sure you split like a like whatever it's meant to be.
Okay, so what am I splitting? Do you guys want to guess what I'm splitting?
Is it the word?
It is a word inside of this dictionary.txt. So notice there's the dictionary.txt, and these are the words that's going to be guessed. And that's have an option to be guessed. So every time it's going to randomly choose a word from this. So basically, this function is going to load the word into a list to separate by new line. For example, we got hello world, Python programming, coding. This is basically going to change all these 5 words into a list with each element as a list. All right. And then we return a word so we can use this list. Now here's our class Heyman. Okay, whether when you class whether you use parentheses or not doesn't really matter. Now we have 5 init function, 5 init thing. So first of all, you need to provide, as always, provide a dictionary. This is supposed to be a list. One second. So this dictionary should be a list. Should be a list. So that's why we can just choose a random word. And now we have letter guessed. What letter guessed is going to do is letter guessed should have every letter that a user guessed. And now we should have a letter incorrect. We should have letter incorrect. Basically means this list is where you store all the letter that user guessed incorrectly. And then we have this, self.string. And then this is the most interesting one. Has anyone heard of list comprehension in Python before? Have never heard of list comprehension in Python before? So list comprehension is a complicated thing. Not really complicated, actually. So basically, I'm just creating a certain number of underscore based on what's the length of the word, all right? So for example, if the length of the word is 5, means 5 characters, it's gonna create 5 underscore. If it's have 10, it's gonna create 10 underscore. And then you can see we also have what we call an optional argument. What we call an optional argument basically means user can provide this or doesn't provide this. That doesn't really matter. But by default, if the user didn't provide this, the chance can be 7. Usually it's going to be 7 chance. Or user can provide this and then say chance can be 20 or 3 or just 1. Okay. So does anybody have any question about all these different 5 variables that we're using? Does anybody have any question with that? Does anybody have any question? Okay, if no, then we'd like to talk about what each individual function, each individual method, you can still have 4 functions: check word, letter, print string, and play. What are supposed each of them do? Well, check word should basically, just to be really simple, it should return that whether the string, whether this list, after turning to a string, is the same thing as our word or not. For example, I have something like this. For example, if our word is hello, and so far user guessed underscore ELL underscore, you are responsible to turn the string into a readable format like here, and then you should compare whether the user guessed the word or not by checking if the string is the same as our word. Return a Boolean value, true or false. Then we got our letter method. This is one of the most interesting methods. And this basically going to dealing with, first, it's going to add the letter into this guessed. It's going to add this letter. You can see I'm taking that argument called letter. It's going to check if this letter is in the word. If the letter is in the word, then don't append this to letter incorrect, but rather then change the corresponding underscore in the string to the letter. Okay, so for example, if the word is hello and the user guessed O, now what you might want to do is change the string to underscore 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 O at the end. All right, and then you don't need to return anything. Print string going to be really simple as well. It's just going to be able to handle what's going to get printed. So it's going to format how it get print. Basically, it's just going to be string, but going to basically separate a space between each character. For example, if it's 5 underscore, each underscore must have a space between them. All right. Finally, it's play. Play what's going to do is going to go ahead complete the cycle of this game. Play is where you will call and so the game will start. Play basically going to do this. It's going to get input and it's going to validate input. And then basically it's checking two things. One, is the input used already? Two, is the input one single letter? So is this just one letter? So you need to check these two inputs, validate these two inputs. And then if you after you validate if the user's input is correct, now what you can do is call this letter method. And then you can call this print string method. So you're gonna print out the string, how it's look like. And now what you can do is this. You're gonna check, is the game finished? Check game finished. So check game finish. Again, there are two ways to finish a game. First is the chance is 0, no more chance left, or the user guessed the game. So you can use a if condition to check both of these conditions. Finally, is you need to also print out the word that's users missed. Letter the users missed. And then now you can begin it again. So validate input, check game finished, print out words missed, and then and then just call this print string to print out the string. Okay, so that's your assignment for today, for this week. It's a little bit complicated, I would say. So, and then I will go ahead and put the direction into the website as hopefully by tomorrow. So I'll go ahead and put the direction into the website as well if you don't understand. But yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, that's basically it for everything you need to do. And then once you finish, just click on this file. Click on file, and then just click on download. Be sure to just download the Heyman.py. I don't care about anything else, just this Heyman.py. I send this file to me. Be sure in your file name, add your GitHub username. so I can identify you.
Can I add words to dictionary.txt?
What?
Can I add words to dictionary.txt?
You could. For testing, yes, you could. And you only have one chance. Once you send it to me, you use your chance. I'm not gonna like check twice. All right. Okay, so I think that's all I'm gonna cover today. So thanks for attending this class. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Is it on GitHub Classroom? It's not. It's on the website, cc-python.glitch.me. If you want to take a look, and I'm gonna send to the WeChat group. I sent an email to all of you as well. I'm gonna send an email so you can take your eyes on email. But yeah, so thank you for attending this class, and I will see you next week. All right.
Bye, comrades.
Bye.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye
See
bye,
ya.
comrade.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye. All right. See you guys next week. Bye.